Hi all. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tonje, and I hope you all had an amazing Easter holiday. I hope you're back in action. We often let things go when it's the holidays. I definitely do. I just got back of my own holiday yesterday. I've been to a ski resort in Trysil in Norway with my 3 kids, my parents who has a cabin up there, and my brother and his family. We had a lovely time. And I'm a person who loves learning. Like, I love watching people. Like, it sounds a bit weird, but I love just seeing how we tick, how we function, right? So I find it so fascinating to look at the difference between when young kids learn to ski and adults who learn to ski. With the kids, they're so enthusiastic, they're so eager, they're beaming with joy. Like, yes, I want to learn this. You strap the skis on them, you try to give them some advice, but really they just want to go, and they do. Off they go. They fall, but then they brush themselves off, maybe wipe away a little tear, and then they're off we go again. They're in the moment. They don't worry. They're just there having fun, loving each moment. Then you have the adults. And they're easy to spot. They're that stiff, rigid figurine that's slowly sliding down the hill like this. They're not moving a muscle, staring straight ahead until their friends go, "Watch out for that tree!" And something magical happens. They see the tree and they start turning. Because now they're making a beeline directly for the tree. Fortunately though, or unfortunately, because they're so rigid, as soon as they hit a low bump, they fall. So most of the time they fall before they hit the tree, thankfully. But I have a theory about this. You see, kids live in the moment. They don't have all the baggage of past experiences to weigh them down. Whereas we adults, we want to protect ourselves. So we look at, whenever we try to learn something new, we judge it by the bad things that have happened, by our past experiences, because we don't want it to happen again. So we strap the skis on, and then we're like, what if I fall? What if I break a leg? What if I hit a tree? What if I? And they end up tensing up. And they're so worried about falling, they tensen up so much that as soon as they hit a little bump, they fall. We make ourselves fall because we're expecting it. So this brings me to what I really want to talk to you about today, which is a theory by Eric Edmeads called the Hindsight Window. Now, if you haven't seen his presentation from Mind Valley A-Fest on this yet, I highly recommend it. You'll find it here on YouTube. Just search Hindsight Window. It's brilliant. Everything he does is brilliant, let's be honest. But the principle itself, the theory itself, is also so valuable that it's absolutely worth repeating. And like anything worth repeating and learning, it helps to hear it in different ways, right? So today, I want to give you my take on it, okay? So the hindsight window, in short, what it is the time that passes, like the time window between when something bad happens to the point in the future where you realize that there was a gain in this. Like, there was something good that came out of this. The time that passes in between there is what we call the hindsight window. Now, the theory is that the shorter the window is, the better, happier life you'll have. The longer it is, the more miserable you'll be. You see, what happens when you're inside this window? You're still living in that past moment. You're still living with the story that what happened is bad. So most likely you might be upset, you might be angry, you might be pissed off, or all sorts of negative emotions. And what happens when something bad happens? You know it. What's that saying? all bad things come in threes, right? There's no scientific proof to that. But as soon as something bad happens and we're in that window, we're looking for the next things to happen, right? So once you get to seeing that, oh, actually something good came out of this, you start feeling grateful, which leads to feeling happy. So this truly is a concept that can transform your life if you start utilizing it. And it's fascinating to see because you can tell who's in it. Like some people are just stuck in that window, right? You know, my mom, for example, she's a pessimist. She'll say she's a rationalist, but come on, let's be rational about it. She's a pessimist. So she's constantly looking. She says that she's rationalizing what can happen, but she's looking for bad things to happen. That puts her in a lot of stress and worry all the time. Whereas when somebody's optimistic, they're looking for the good things. They're looking for the opportunities. They're looking for the joy. Who's going to be more happy, right? So how can we approach this? One easy way to do it is to, divide our life into three. So you have your past, your present, and the future. Often we live mostly in the past and try to predict the future instead of being in the present. So often the easiest place to start is to look at the past. We tend to say that we can look at the past with, hindsight 2020 vision, right? We don't really though, do we? Most of the time, we look at our past with a very, very blurry view. So packed up with our stories that have kept us comfortable. When I was a kid, my parents worked a lot. So I was home alone a lot. And I remember I wasn't really bothered by it, I did notice that they weren't around like everybody else's parents. They weren't at home when I came home from school. They weren't able to follow me up as much as the other parents did. And then one day, when I was about 12, I was at my aunt's house. And she had some friends over. And they started talking about my life and my situation while I was there. And then they turned to me and they said, "Oh, I feel so bad for you. I feel so sorry for you." And I was surprised. Like, okay, why? Oh, it must be so tough for you to not have your parents around, to not have them at home and have the support. And the more they spoke, the more I started feeling into it. The more I started feeling sorry for myself. And I started thinking, yeah, they're not around. I have to do everything myself. I have to do everything myself and everybody else have their parents joining them and they are able to join them and they're not there for me. I started creating that story. But when I look back now, when I look back at that little girl and the situation, my parents did work a lot. They worked a lot so that they could provide for me. They loved me and my brother so much that they worked their butts off so that they could provide for us. And they would take us on holidays, trips, experiences that none of the other kids got. And I had the safety of knowing that we were gonna always be okay. I always had them there if I really needed them. Yeah, I was home a lot, alone. I would come home from school. I remember evenings where they weren't there and I'd actually just be out wandering about. But you know what? You know what I got that none of my friends got or the other kids got? I got freedom. My parents trusted and believed in me. They gave me independence. I came home from school and I made my own food. I started cooking dinners early. I got independence. My kids envied. My friends, they envied that. So when I decided that I wanted to become a helicopter pilot, I packed my bags and I moved to America on my own. No big deal. Because I was prepared for it. When me and my husband decided to take a year off and travel the world, we did. Because we were prepared for it. So you always have the opportunity to heal your past, right? Tell yourself a better story. We always have the opportunity to look at the good or the bad. Choose the good. How has it worked for you? How has it helped you? How has it shaped you? Because everything you've experienced has made you the person you are today. Now, the future is a bit more tricky. Now we have to prepare ourselves, right? I actually had a long time, like for most of my life, I would tell myself that I was socially incompetent. I would worry about going to parties or going to any kind of events, like unless I had a person there that I could like cling on to, stand next to, so that I had that safety net, I wouldn't want to go. And even then, I'd be nervous. What if they start talking to someone else and I'm left hanging on my own? Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And I would feel my heart racing, and I would feel like that tensing, and I normally don't sweat, but I would start sweating and I would be so worried. And then I started thinking about it. I've got 2 dogs, and I don't know if you've got dogs, but if you do, there's this funny human thing that happens when you walk a dog. You automatically just nod to everybody else who has a dog. You know, it's like suddenly you're sharing this experience. So you're walking your dog, you see somebody else, you go, and you walk on. And even then, I used to be a bit worried, like, okay, what if they want to suddenly talk to me? Like, because some do, most don't. I don't know what to do. Because if I just do this and they want to talk, then maybe I seem rude. So I thought, okay, what if I actually take a tiny initiative? What if I start actually truly smiling with teeth like this? And what happened next was so funny. I went out for a walk, and every person I looked at, I would smile like this. And a lot of them got really shocked and went, but they all would smile back. And it was a natural icebreaker. There was no more worry about, what if they want to talk or not talk, because it just flowed naturally. And I realized it was so easy. I started using it everywhere else. And now I'm perfectly comfortable going into a room of all unknown people, because I know I can just go in there and just smile to someone and they smile back, and it's an instantaneous icebreaker. I've prepared for the future, giving myself a little hack. Now, the present, that's the most tricky one, right? Whenever we experience anything, right, the signals come up to our brain and they first pass through the limbic system, where our emotions are created, before it comes to the frontal lobe, where we can actually think rationally, right? We all experience this all the time. Something happens and you go, woof, get the emotions. So how can you deal with the present? Well, last summer, I went to Paris with my husband and our 3 kids, and we were going to go to Disney. That was the whole thing. So we're not actually going to Paris. We're just going to Disneyland, right? So the kids have been amazing the whole trip. They've been so good. They're so eager. They're so excited. And they're just beaming with joy and excitement. And we get to the airport and they just want to run out. And we're like, yeah. We just have to get our bags got our bags, and we're waiting. They're coming soon, I'm sure. I'm sure they're coming soon. No bags. Jace, the bags aren't coming. We need to go talk to the baggage handlers or the support desk. Yeah. We walk over. She types away on her computer. It's like, oh yeah, they're in Netherlands. What do you mean they're in Netherlands? We flew from Norway to, direct flight from Norway to Paris. Our bags are in Netherlands? Yeah. Oh, okay. So when will they be here? I don't know, a few days maybe. We're only here for 3 days. And I look and I notice my daughter. Her lip is starting to shiver. And her eyes are tearing up and she's like so worried. But I've seen Eric Edmeads' presentation on the Hindsight Window. And I started thinking to myself, how can I turn this? How can this be a good situation? How can I feel better about this? We got insurance. So I looked at my daughter and I started smiling. I said, baby girl, don't worry. It's all right. We'll get our bags and it's just stuff. But you know what? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go shopping. You know those little flip-flops that you really wanted that I've always said no to? You can have them. You know, normally when we go to a park and we actually said when we left home that you'll get $50 to spend. There's no budget now. My girl's still thinking. She's like, yeah, but what about my things? Don't worry, baby. Don't worry, baby. It's covered. We got insurance. Let's just go and have fun. And we went the first day to the closest mall, and the kids were allowed to pick out whatever they wanted. And then we went into the park and we went shopping. I've never done so much shopping on any holiday, and we had such a blast. And the kids absolutely loved it. On the second to last day, the bags were out, all except the pram, which never actually turned up. But you know what? Our youngest doesn't really need it anymore. He needed it for this holiday, and we were able to rent one, but he never uses it at home. And I was gonna have to go through the hassle of having to sell it. Now I just get the insurance money. That's a lot easier. There was no need to panic. There was no need anymore to be upset or sad or angry. Things happen. But we were ready for it. And that's the thing. We always have things happen in life. Life is full of drama, and it has to be. Come on, you wouldn't want it anyway, would you? You wouldn't want to not have the drama because it would be boring. Of course, a lot of the things that happen are horrible, but they allow us to feel the good. We need the opposition. And whenever any event happens, we go through the process that the event happens, we register it as a thought, and then we get an emotional reaction to it, which leads us to thinking and creating stories. And that leads us to taking an action. So firstly, ask yourself, what is the emotion that would support me right now? If we'd gotten angry and upset in the airport, started complaining about, oh, our luggage, that wouldn't have helped us, right? So choosing the emotion that will help you. Feeling optimistic. Looking for the good, right? Then it's easier to think, what would need to happen for me to be able to feel gratitude in this? How can I think? How can I turn my thinking to the positive so that I can feel gratitude as soon as possible, so that you can close that hindsight window as fast as possible? You're always gonna have bad things happen. You've already experienced a lot. We all have wounds. But honestly, I believe that if we embrace our scars, we will heal beautifully. Thank you.